Okay, I'd like to call the Sewer Commission meeting to order. The date is October 18, 2016. And beginning at my right with Carlos Adams, will everyone please introduce themselves?
Carlos Adams, Board of Selectmen's representative.
Ellen Noyes, Administrative Assistant.
Tim Redmond, Commissioner.
Steve Crean, Commissioner.
Rob Trapaz, Commissioner.
Mike Iredell, DPW.
Mike Walton, DPW.
Okay, I guess the first thing we're going to start with is the 2017 budget. Maybe, Sue, you could go over that a little bit?
I think what you'll find in the recent handout you were given tonight is the default budget, which
That's
hadn't
this
been
one.
set yet.
That's
So I want to
your-
call your attention to the difference between your proposed budget and your default budget. It's higher than usual. So if you go to page 2 at the bottom,
I did, yeah. It's, has some yellow highlights down the side, Steve, it's
Yeah.
right, yeah, right there. Yes.
Page 2 is on the back.
okay, on your back, on the
Okay.
backside. In the box, that's the difference between your proposed budget and your default budget at this time. That's larger than usual for you folks. So I just wanted to point that out because, as you know, voters vote their pocketbook, and when there's that kind of difference in a default budget, they may tend to vote for the lower budget when there's big discrepancy. Even though I know you are a sewer fund, you're paid for totally by user fees, not by property taxes, but your budget goes in the operating budget article along with the general fund and EMS.
So does our budget affect the default budget for the town?
Yes. Because your default gets added to the general fund default and the EMS default.
Well, the first thing I'd like to say is the reason we're spending more than we usually do is the Public Works Department has a road plan, and the last couple of years, I don't think there weren't any roads that had sewer on them. I might be wrong, there might have been one or two, but, you know, they were mostly like Black Brook Road, well, wherever. So, in 2018, they have a substantial list of streets they're gonna do in Penodville mostly, and all of those have sewer. So, the other thing was, when we originally came up with the plan of the sewer commission and the highway department working together, you know, linking the road program to the sewer restoration projects, if you will, and I'm going back, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. The original idea was we're gonna do everything the same year, we're just gonna go ahead of them, and they're gonna come behind us, we're gonna dig it up once, put it back together. And I guess the proposal this year is that we do our work in 2017, lay down a trench patch, and then they come back in 2018 and do the reclaim and the binder on the top. So that's a little different. So I guess my first question is, and I'm not sure if Megan can answer this or anyone here can answer it, but is it possible that we can put these off till they actually do the job in Penodville?
Yes, I did talk to Adam Jacobs, our Director of Public Works, today, and he said it is possible if we get an early start. So I did call, because I know there's been concerns about, coordinating with the school for bus stops and things like that. So I did call, and I was directed over to the truck center, and they said they could work with us to relocate bus stops if you start before school gets out. So you could start earlier, and then still allow the summer for DPW to get in there to do the
Okay.
reclaim, if you wanted to put it off to 18.
So when do we have to give the Budget Committee a final budget?
The Budget Committee usually concludes before Christmas. We do submit the Selectmen's budget to them by November 1st.
Okay. Well, I think we can make some changes. Well, before I start talking, either one of the other commissioners have anything they'd like to say? Any questions, concerns, comments?
I had one question, Steve, related to next year's road plan is Main Street from Mountain Road all the way to West Lawn Cemetery.
Yes.
Are there any spots in there, I know there's very little sewer main on Main Street, but are there any crossover spots that have to be addressed during that project that need to be budgeted for?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there's 2 crossings on Main Street?
There's Manhole Main Street by Pleasant. There's an offset joint, which needs a point repair on Main Street, in front of the old Cumbies Farms. And on North Mass, we're gonna put in a service to a house, because their service goes through cross lots out back to Clinton Street. So we're gonna put them a service.
Okay.
So that's the only thing that's gonna happen as far as excavation goes.
And the problem up by the church, that's already been resolved? Remember, there was a dead-end sewer or something, or?
Well, we gotta put a manhole at the
You gotta
dead
put a
end,
manhole
manhole
up
at the
there,
dead end.
too.
Yeah.
So it's,
3 areas.
yeah, very, very small project,
Yeah.
you know, a couple days apiece or whatever.
Okay, so that's already been budgeted for.
Yeah. Well, let's see
And
if I,
also, they're, in 18, they're working on South Mass from Wallace to Parker, or Park, is that
Well, it's the Park Lane.
to Park Lane? So, I know you had those 4 Pinardville streets in here, but did you budget anything for,
South Mass is
South
done.
Mass?
South Mass is done.
oh, it is?
It's the
okay.
interceptor,
Okay, that's
so
done,
there's nothing for us to do.
okay.
The only thing I was gonna make a suggestion, as far as the rehabilitation goes, as far as those streets that were for 2018, we can do the point repair some point in time after. We could actually, if you guys wanted to, we can actually do a 2-year project out of it, split it. So you do a little bit in 17, you do the rest of it in 18.
well, when we do it in 17, it's just gonna stay there till the town comes in 18, right?
In 18, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the other
And
thing
they-
with
then
that is
they-
if, you know, what if we get the money, we do our work, then they don't get the money, then what do we do? I mean, I'm not saying it's maybe, a 1 in 10 chance, but it could happen.
It has happened.
Then we just hot top ours the way we should, and, I mean, Manchester Water just cut into Mass Road today and patched it, so it wouldn't be any different than us doing, because he's just talking point repairs, that's, you know, small patches.
Replacement of the lines and point repairs. Just the excavation portion of that road plan.
Okay. Well, we
That-
budgeted $651,000, that's a new line in CIP. And we had a line sewer maintenance and repairs, and that's where we usually took the money out for the restoration, if you will. So we lowered that from 380 to 380,000 to 150,000. So one scenario would be eliminate the 651, or really, really drop it down a quarter of it or whatever. But if we start messing around with that one, then the one that we dropped from 380 to 150, we'd have to put some money back in that to bring that up again. So I think maybe what we ought to do is meet again in a week or whatever and go over this and come up with something.
Okay, I just wanted to bring it attention, because I know you hadn't seen the default yet.
Yeah. And when do we have to let you know about the default?
11 and
Default,
1.
we have, right up until we print the ballot, basically, to change
Okay.
default, because if we get any new numbers. I also want to point out that your budget will be adjusted. We're getting our insurance rates tomorrow. They're not as high as we expected, so you're going to see your budget go down. Property liability, workers' comp, and the health insurance numbers are coming in lower than we expected.
Okay, great.
Okay?
Thank you, Sue. We'll get back to you as soon as we come up with some answers.
Okay.
Thank you, Sue.
Okay, Megan.
jump in if you need to. Just in case Sue needs to correct me on time.
No, you have all the detail.
So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Megan Terrio, the town engineer. So I've been working with Sue on the town hall, the issues we've been having at town hall, and I'll just try and summarize quickly if you want me to, or I don't know if everyone's read the information I sent out.
Well, if you could just real quickly go over it, and if anyone has any questions.
So back in 2015, the town hired Team Engineering to look at the potential issues they were having up in the planning office is where it all started. There were concerns with some, I think, cracking in the walls, and they originally thought it was due to the weight of the mobile filing system. So Team Engineering did an initial study and found that there was some settlement in that whole corner of the building. They decided to wait another year and do some further monitoring. So they waited about a year to March of this year, 2016, and they checked it again. They found some additional settlement. So they originally were recommending to put in some helical piles to support the building to stop further settlement. And when we originally took that information and tried to put it out to bid, we quickly found out that, one, we didn't have enough information because we needed borings and things like that. And two, we quickly also realized there was a sewer main that runs along the whole back of Town Hall. So with those two pieces of information, we decided to postpone the helical piles. We hired GSI to come in, and they did the borings. So the borings, we were anticipating possibly some bad soils over there, and we actually did not find that. The soils were pretty decent. I think they were sandy gravels and things like that, so they were decent soils. So we also did a test pit to check, well, actually, before the test pit, they drilled a hole in the cement floor over there to determine if there was any void underneath the slab, and they did find a 3-inch void under the slab. So then we did a test pit on the outside of the building to see if there was a void underneath the foundation. And, because we weren't sure where that void went and ended. There was not a void underneath the foundation, so it really appears to be possibly isolated underneath the slab. So with that, GSI recommended that we, one, continue some monitoring. So we installed some monitoring points along the outside of the building and some crack gauges to keep monitoring things. And they recommended that we fill the void underneath the slab of the floor with like a cement grout, and to postpone the helical pile idea for now. If the building continued to settle, then we would look at that idea again. But there's some complications with that. You would have to, be careful and support over the sewer and whatnot, because where you would want to drill them down is right near where the sewer is, so that added some complication there. So now we were getting quotes to put the grout in, and we've got 2 numbers back so far, and the 2 people who did respond had high level of concerns with the close proximity of the sewer main. We have a TV inspection that was done back in '95, and then again, I think in 2015, so we have some information on the sewer there. And there's some cracking, and I think there's one hole in the line that had a high, rating for potential failure, and that's just beyond the building, like kind of just where the sidewalk is over there. So there is some, damage to the line, and the contractors were just very concerned about the pressure from when you push the grout in, that it could seep into that line and cause damage to the line.
Could I just ask a couple of questions?
Sure, yeah.
I received a copy of a plan that shows 2 manholes and the sewer line going across the back. What I didn't have was the distance from the upstream manhole to the building, just to correlate it with the video inspection.
Yes, yeah. I had that and I marked it out, and I think I left that one at the office, but I think I marked it on here too. I want to say it's around station 2, the 200 mark, so let me just check. I marked it on here as well. Yeah, okay, so Town Hall starts just about the 197. So if I'm looking in the inspection report that you guys got, so just around, 200 linear feet, just to about 250, I would say. So it's like 50 feet in the back of the building there. So you can see just about 7 feet beyond at 257 is where there's that visible hole. So that hole is just on like the sidewalk on that side of the building over there.
So it starts at the
Starts at about 2.
defective factory tap and then
Yep.
through the
Yep,
red hole.
yes.
What's the depth of the sewer relative to the
is it-
slab?
5, 6 feet below the slab, I believe, was in GSI's report.
5 feet below the slab of the building.
5 feet below the foundation, I believe. Yeah, that was in GSI's report. I believe they
So that's
mentioned
probably
that.
somewhere around 9 feet.
Yeah,
there you go.
so it says right here, 12-inch, the sewer, they said it was 12, but a 10-inch sewer is buried about 12 feet below existing grade, which is 5 feet below the bottom of the footing. So in talking with Sue, we just got to a point where we felt like we should come forward to the board and just present the information we have, share it with you, just to kind of get your feedback on, you know, what you're thinking, or, you know, because we have some concerns now with potentially grouting underneath there, and we don't want to cause any more damage to the sewer line. So, in knowing where it is, right underneath the building, we didn't know if you had any future plans to either, 1, move it, or 2, line it, or are you not that concerned and you just want to monitor it when we do this work? So we're just kind of looking for your feedback.
Well, we want to correct it, depending on, you know, on what the problem is. One thing that would be helpful is if someone could get a disc of the video to Mike Trank. Is that possible?
Yeah, I have to burn them to this.
And it's either, you know, line it or move it, and if you move it, you're talking about, let's see, 1, 2, 3,
3 manholes.
yeah, 3 manholes.
Yeah, but you got a storm sewer right there, too.
Yeah, you are pretty close
That's
to
that
the,
giant
Stone
stone
culvert.
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 Oh, you don't want to mess with that.
No.
So,
Then you're gonna go through the private property, all these parking lots you're gonna go through.
And you got
They get the
services,
church.
how many services? Plus the town hall service, right, is under the
There's
slab?
2. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's one in the corner and there's one under the
Yeah,
building.
Town hall's hooked to it under
That
the
pretty much
slab.
So if you
makes
move it, you
decision,
gotta- If you move it, you gotta tunnel under the building to get to the service.
Under the void?
Isn't there room, though, Mike, in your opinion, to install a new structure and a new line adjacent to the existing?
It depends what kind of, how the grade of the pipe is. What's the slope of the pipe? If it's flat, it's gonna be tough to move.
So that sewer then would be lower than that drain that goes under, that goes behind the town office buildings?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just-
Because that drain is only,
It's lower.
probably not that deep, really.
Well, you can walk through it.
I was told, Mike, that there's a section of this that was used, they used RCP, that it was a box culvert for a section, then it was RCP, and then it was box culvert, because it used to be 2 open ends. Is that true or false, Mike, do you know?
There's RCP in there.
There is RCP.
Yeah,
that's
there's
what
a
I thought.
section somewhere.
But it's stone box culvert on Church Street, and it's stone box culvert on Depot Street.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
and when it goes through their cellar at number 3,
Under Porter,
might be
Porter's old
RCP
place.
more down this end, down at the outlet
yeah, I
end.
think it's back down by where it goes under Depot Street, maybe.
Yeah, I think when the hardware store did some improvements, I want to say maybe the part where they put in a new drain manhole, they might have attached to the RCP piece, I think.
No, that's stone box culvert down there, because we put the water line up Depot Street. I know that's a stone box.
It's stone box, yeah, it's in here somewhere. Somewhere in the parking lot.
Okay.
Was there soil in the sewer line as part of the inspection? I didn't see anything. Anything that gives us indication that
No.
there's soil being taken away by the sewer?
Would you clean it first?
No, we didn't clean it.
Oh, it's a good thing.
So really, it would appear that the condition of the sewer is not directly related to the void under the slab?
No.
Does your camera, your information tell if the pipe is deflected under the building? Is it sagged or anything like that? Do we know about
I
that?
would say in the report.
Yeah, if it's sagged, the
If it's
camera
sagged,
will go
it'll
underwater.
say- Let's say a 3-inch sag, a 2-inch sag, half a pipe sag, quarter pipe sag.
But I'm asking, do you know from your information if there's a sag in the pipe under the building?
I don't think so. I don't recall one.
So the only offsets that were noted were much further up the line
Yeah, there's 2 longitudinal cracks.
and one after.
What's crowning mean? I'm not familiar with that term.
Crowning?
Inside the pipe, when you look like the pipe crowning, is that,
Yeah, that's when you have alligator crack, we call it alligator cracking over the top of the pipe. We have thin cracks. because it's pottery, you know, it's
Yeah,
clay.
Yeah, I know what, now that you explain, I know what it was, but I just wasn't familiar with that term.
What's our options, Mike, to line this pipe from end to end?
You'd be better off, like, the condition of the pipe and what's happening here, and if they pump grout in, it seeps, if they pump an ash grout in, it's very fine. You'd be better off be pipelining it.
And will the pipe liner withstand the pressure of something pushing against a crack?
It's a DR 29. It's thicker than SDR.
I'm just asking, because I don't know.
I would say so, yeah, structurally.
How do you,
It's not a sock type liner which they
There's
expand.
two types. You can get a cured in place or fold and form. They both get the same result at the end.
Thank you.
with the in situ foam, you run it through, it's like a sock,
All right.
and then they run hot water through it and
Right.
so on. And then they go down with the camera and with a tractor in front of it with a
Saw.
Cutters.
cutter, yeah. And they can see where the service connection is, because it kind of bows out a little bit.
Makes a dimple.
Yeah, makes a dimple, and they just cut out the service.
Right.
Now, with the other kind of pipe, do you have to point repair the services, or can you cut them out?
No, it's the same way. The both methods are done the same way, except one's a sock and one's fold and form.
So that'll bow out too, so you know where the service is?
Yeah, they both will.
Okay.
Well, they TV it, they clean it, TV it, it's measured, and you can see the dimple as well. So, and we get a couple of services in there from in the parking lot, they're capped. There's a couple of them. We won't open those.
Has anybody TD town hall service?
You're the sewer department, you tell me.
I don't do service lines, so I'm asking.
So I want to be clear, I'm looking at this plan, it shows the sewer line but not the drain lines. The problem with trying to put in a manhole offset the sewer line is you run into the drain line.
The drain line is
It's
a little
faint.
dotted line, Collis, it's kind of
I have a
faint,
bigger
and it's
map
got
here,
little
Collis.
boxes
I see
to the right of
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
to the left of it, excuse me.
Yeah, I see it now.
Those must be a manhole catch basin location in the parking lot of the town office building,
There is.
that little box.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, there's a couple.
Roughly how
of-
far is that off the corner of the building on the south side?
Probably three parking places over.
Well, if you
Well,
look,
no, I mean between the building and here. I just don't have a scale.
Building
well, if you
the
look at the
drain line?
sidewalk,
It's not very
20
far.
feet.
Rob, it's only the,
It's way
it
less
looks
than
like
that.
it's the thickness of the sidewalk again,
Yeah.
if you just kind of look at it briefly,
So it's at 8 feet to,
so it's not much.
but that's the center of the line, and that culvert's how wide?
And you can walk, it's about 6 feet wide to 5 feet.
So the edge of it puts you
Plus,
up pretty
plus
close
the,
to the
man.
plus the granite slabs.
You don't know if they TV'd the service out of here to see if that was right where the void
We didn't
was or
do
not?
it
You're
this
probably
time.
talking
I don't know
9,
if it's
10
been
feet
done.
wide.
We would've had
If you go from
you folks do it.
in a,
We
in a
wouldn't have
granite
done
edge,
Just the
that.
edge,
the
so
way-
that gives you,
outside.
We can't TV little ones, is why I'm
It's all
asking.
granite,
Then we
like a
didn't have
house.
it done.
Well, it doesn't, what we do with the main doesn't matter if you guys have a service line problem, and then you pump the grout and it goes in through your service line.
Yeah, that's not what led us to this point. What led us to this point is a window not opening, cracking in the foundation.
No, I'm just saying, us lining our pipe won't do any good if it's the service line is
Well, I mean, the service
under the
is like
slab.
halfway up the building. It's like 30 feet away from where the 3-inch drop in the floor is.
Is that little leg
Yeah,
that
but
goes
it's
into the
gotta hook
building?
to our main.
Yeah,
Where does it hook to the main?
up
should have
halfway
that,
up the
right?
building, so kind of right
That little
under
leg,
the
Megan?
entryway.
That
Yep.
little leg that shows going into the town office building, is that the approximate location of the sewer service?
What map are you looking at? I have a bigger map
The
here.
little one
Tom.
right here, the little one we got a handout for.
Yes, yep,
That's approximately the sewer service to the building?
yep.
so it's what, 200
Question
and,
from Megan, please, Steve.
Yeah, I think it'd be well advised to camera the service line, even if you don't think there's a problem, just, why do a bunch of stuff, then find out there's something else we didn't know about it. I can't imagine it's gonna cost you more than $400 or $500, and that's more of a job for like a plumber or a AAA pump, not someone that, works in the street all the time, but someone that specializes. They got cameras that'll go through a 2-inch pipe, they just kind of push them, works pretty good.
so this is that tap, that 223.4 would be our guess? Be the service?
Yes, yep. Yeah, and that drain line's probably 15 feet off the corner of the building, over there.
Meg?
Yep.
If If we decided to line this as a preventive measure, and then you go ahead and pump the grout in under the slab, is there any professional opinion as to whether that's going to solve the problem, or is that just the first try at solving the problem? Putting grout under the slab?
Well, I think the report said that they thought the underlying problem was the sewer main.
That's where, Harry from GSI kind of was scratching his head on this one. Every time he thought he had an answer, the results came back and wasn't what he thought. So it kind of like looking at everything, he felt like he thinks it may have had to do with, the settlement of the trench around the sewer. So he's hoping that the settlement happened way back, kind of 1950 to 1969-ish. He thinks the settlement happened way back when, and really, we're just noticing it now and, bringing it to light. But he doesn't think it's continuing to settle badly, so that's why we have the monitoring points out there. One thing we talked about was waiting a little longer, doing some more monitoring to see if it's continuing to settle. Or, again, we could potentially fill the grout, but also continue monitoring to make sure it's.
And this new monitoring is survey grade
Yes.
as opposed to what was done previously,
Yeah.
which was
Just a level,
laser.
holding a level. And
Do we know when the sewer line was installed, what year, approximately?
Pre-1950,
And do we know what year this building was built?
1947, I think.
So how
No,
did,
the building, the sewer line had to come
yeah,
first.
the sewer line's got to come first.
chicken and
Yeah,
the
we
egg
don't
thing.
know when the sewer was built.
Well, I'm just trying to get a timeline on the differential between when the sewer was installed and when the building was built.
And we don't know that. Mike and I tried to look at old plans today, and all we could find was a 1950 plan that showed an existing sewer coming out into Main Street, which he said would have been this one that connected out there. So we don't have any plan that showed this area.
We found
Yeah,
it.
Originally, it was
built.
just the basement, there was no second floor in
Yeah,
this
I
one.
remember that. I'm old enough.
Okay, you remember that. What year was it, Steve?
Yeah. They still would have had to lift it to put the pipe under it, though.
If the sewer was settling in this area, I'd expect to see offsets and deflections in this
Pipe.
TV report.
Yeah, there'd be sags in it.
So, I mean, it doesn't seem to me that the bedding
Well,
of the
if
pipe
the
is...
sewer is where it's supposed to be, and somehow the dirt is getting into the sewer, but they said it
We
would
didn't have
look
evidence of
clean.
that either.
But, if they think it happened in 1969, that, there could have been some, I don't know, tragic event, somehow a bunch of sand
There was
fell,
a
and then
lot
it
of-
just stopped. I
There was a
mean,
lot of water flowing through here during the floods. I remember.
2006, yes.
Yeah.
yeah, but that didn't get into the sewer, did it?
And it went through, this whole thing was underwater.
The sewer mains are all full of water, every one of them. We had so much water, they filled everything.
And that's when the side of the Gap building was falling in because water was flowing through the side of that culvert pipe, that box culvert.
How deep was the water in the manhole?
With Mother Lake flood, they're all full, they're all surcharge. Everyone in town. Mother Lake
You
flood.
probably didn't open them all up, but what I was thinking, to say it was surcharged by about 6
couldn't.
feet, with the cracks, the water could have gone out and then disturbed it,
Oh, no,
Well,
they
but
were,
the
There was-
report's saying that they think the settlement happened a long time ago, not recently with the floods. And one of the reasons they came to that conclusion is because with a 3-inch settlement in the floor, you would have expected to have seen severe cracking and distortion in the brick facade outside. And so they think when the renovations were done in 1969, that they actually there's 2 layers of sheetrock in that back room. So Harry thinks they put another layer of sheetrock over the old sheetrock, and they might have done the brick facade work, it was redone, and so it covered up the original, deterioration from the first settlement. So you're not seeing on the outside of the building what you would expect from a 3-inch drop in the floor.
So there's a 3-inch air gap under the floor.
There's-
Has the footings and the foundations receded downwards? Is the sill still straight on the top?
I don't remember what the report said. I think the
No.
sill is still straight. I think what has happened is the slab has dropped 3.5 inches, and there's a 3-inch gap underneath the slab.
But I'm saying to you, the slab doesn't support the building. The slab supports you and me when we walk on it.
Yeah.
The footings are what I'm concerned about. If the
They're on
footings are
solid
intact and they have not moved, and the foundation is still level, then the building itself is not settling on top of on top of the sewer line. Granted, there could be some settling of the soil under the slab, which has resulted in this. There could be a crack in the sewer line, which is allowing groundwater to carry soil into the line. We don't know about that.
I believe the foundation is level. I believe the measurements that they took on the outside of the building, you know, and we also did the test pit on the outside, and we dug down, and we stopped before we hit the bottom of the footing, and then we got down there and we hand dug to see if there was any void underneath the foundation, and there wasn't.
So that tells me that we should be considering pipelining to prevent infiltration and let them grout their pipe, because I don't feel that this sewer line is causing any settling in the building.
No, I agree.
We get gaps under slabs all the time in the construction, because nobody ever compacted worth of beans up until about 15 years ago. Now we'd actually do compaction under slabs. Used to be you threw the dirt in and you leveled it out and you poured your concrete on it. So that's the way I'm leaning right now, in my opinion.
I don't see anything here that would lead us to believe that we have an ongoing problem, and it sounds like you're assessing that with the with the monitoring equipment you have now. But it seemed to me that the opinion of the report was that it's largely stable at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Harry does not think it's continuing to settle significantly, but we need precise monitoring for another year. Because the monitoring that was done was just a snapshot, and a year later, another snapshot, and it wasn't done with survey grade.
And that showed an
Instruments.
inch.
And that showed further settlement of, I can't
1
remember,
inch,
half an
yeah.
inch further?
Of the slab,
Half inch over here, 1 inch near the window.
Okay, so,
of the slab, right? Not the foundation.
not the foundation.
Okay.
Well, we're not gonna be able to do anything this year. You know, it's already October, we'd have to get specs, contracts, bids, all that stuff, so, you know, for sure we're talking next year, but my thought would be to have Mike Trank take a look at it and have him come up with something.
Sure.
I mean, I can't imagine it would take you more than half a day, would it?
No.
Well, that's my thoughts. You got a
Yeah, I mean,
question?
I think that's good as far as the sewer line goes. I think as a community, we need to think about the drain line. That's the big problem here. We're dancing around this thing, and it's gonna be a problem sooner or later. So at some point in time, as a town, we're gonna have to deal with this drain line. And we need to start thinking about getting some estimates, getting some plans as to how we deal with it, and some cost estimates and everything goes with it, because sooner or later, you know, we want to expand parking and we want to do all this stuff, and there's this.
Didn't Carl
there's
put
this-
together a proposal several years back and present it to CIP to a parallel drain line to the box culvert?
Yeah, did it go over Kendall Hadley?
Kendall had they
I remember
it was
that,
over $1 million.
present that
It was
Over a million.
1.2
Yep.
million dollars, because I'm the one that did the estimate.
Was it a box culvert or a pipe?
Well, we put a concrete RCP pipe went around the driveway into Depot Street.
Right, so you propose to do an RCP
It
pipe.
was an RCP pipe with drain manholes and catch basins.
Okay. Well, maybe we should look at having that, like Carlos says, get that refreshed.
Got to deal with it sooner or later.
I agree.
Yeah.
Sim-
And yet,
Go ahead.
didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No.
the other thing is, even if the sewer wasn't under the building, you know, with the cracks and everything, maybe it's something we would have repaired no matter what, just because, you know, the thing caves in, then you got to, what do you do if it caves in underneath the building? You know, set up some pumps for 6 months, or,
No, you start digging the next day.
I'd be doing
Well,
something.
well,
building?
Well, now you're
No,
gonna have
you-
Pipe bursting.
Then you're gonna have to do offsets and bring it around the building.
That's
Now you're
right.
gonna have to deal with the drain line.
Right,
That's my point.
or you're digging under it,
Exactly, and that ain't gonna happen.
No.
the way to go over it, so.
All right, so the two projects are interlocked, obviously.
okay, we'll just leave it, I think we're gonna have to have another meeting before the, well, when was the November meeting be? How many weeks away is that?
The 15th. But I
So
know,
that's
but
only a month.
We have to meet on other subjects anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think we're gonna have to have a meeting in a couple of weeks and
yeah.
address Sue's concerns and Megan's concerns, and unless anyone has any objections, I'd like to ask Mike to take a look at it.
Sure.
You okay with that?
Yeah, I'm good with it. But I think we need two other things though, Steve. I think one, we probably, if we don't have an up-to-date camera report on our main line, we should have a camera report on our main line, so that, or is that what this is right here, this report right here? Is this a camera report?
2015
That's the
report.
main line.
And
There's two of those. There's one done, if you look on the top, there's a year on it, of the log sheet.
5/13/15.
96, I got
Yeah,
one.
this is the old one, Tim.
That's the oldie.
This is the new one.
And then there's another one, it's a newer one, that we
The
did.
color one?
The
That-
color one's the most recent.
Yeah, that's this.
And that was this year, correct?
That was the spring.
And,
Last
and
spring.
Last spring.
do we, are we,
Page 4.
Oh,
are we affirming that there are no settlement in the line in this report?
There's no settlement in the line in that report.
Well,
no.
in that section, I think there was some,
There's a few
there's some
offset
snags and others.
mediums.
Well, offsets, it's just the clay pipe is just offset.
Right,
I'm talking about in the proximity of the corner of the town
Yeah,
building
no.
road.
no.
And then I also think that it would be wise for either the town or our commission to camera the service line to make sure there are no defects in that, and if that needs to be dealt with prior to any grouting, we should make sure that's dealt with prior to any grouting, so we don't pump grout into the service line, as brought up by somebody. So those two steps.
Okay, the TV and the services is gonna be a big deal. It's just a question of who's gonna do it and who's gonna pay for it.
Well, it's a service line, so the town hall will pay for it, but I'll depend upon staff to locate someone to do it.
Well, you can borrow him, he can oversee the job.
I knew that was coming.
Coffee shops across the street, Mike.
I borrowed Ernie's camera last week and it broke, so I don't want to touch it.
Mike, do you get the same package we got on the settlement and everything? You have all the
Yeah,
stuff?
Yeah,
You have everything?
yeah, Ellen sent around
Okay.
attachments by email.
So the only other thing you need would be
I
the...
don't think I have that most recent TV report, though.
That was in the geo,
This one?
Was it in the,
Right?
yeah. Geotechnical?
No, no,
No?
that's Eastern Pipe Services.
Because you've
Oh,
got the
Eastern
whole
Pipe
package.
The
that-
TV inspection.
Oh, I didn't have that one attached.
Oh, it wasn't, I
It
don't have it
wasn't
via
talking about-
email.
okay, it
I
wasn't
don't have it
attached.
via digital, so Mike brought it over
Yeah.
for hard copies.
yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
that
have
might-
that one.
Pass it down, I guess.
And you'll send me the video?
I just printed everything.
Oh, I have to put it on a thumb drive, I can't email them, they're too
Yeah.
big.
That's fine.
So I have to spend,
I'll email it to you also, Mike, because it was my mistake. I didn't do those three in color like I did these others. I just ran them through, and I think you need the color on that report that I just gave you.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you take mine, Mike, and Sue can get me, or, yes, Ellen
Okay.
can get me one.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I can swing by. and
Get
pick
one
it up.
easier to
It's Not a
manage.
big deal.
But I can just scan it. I've done it.
I'll just trade with you for now, Mike.
Okay.
it is.
Does Dick Perez still associate with you guys
On rare occasions.
Public?
on rare occasions?
You can just send one home.
Well, he teaches the workshops to certify the operators of the TV trucks, doesn't he, or used to?
Not anymore. He's
done
enjoying
with all that?
retirement.
Hey, Mike, page 4 is where that run is between 197 and 263.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we beat this dog in.
Yeah, done with this. Okay, anyone else call us, your questions, concerns?
I'm all set.
Everybody else?
Good.
Okay. Okay, we'll try to get back to you with the answers on those two items. Thanks for all your help. Appreciate it.
Megan has been wonderful to work with on this. This is out of my area of expertise, so I really appreciate her help and Mike's. Thank you, good night.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay, do we expect Paula?
Not tonight.
Not tonight?
No.
I thought, I was under the impression we're gonna vote on it tonight, and tonight was gonna be it.
She didn't mention that.
You got the wrong impression.
Okay. Now, let's go through the old business. Final budget is November 10th. We go before the Budget Committee. We're going to schedule a meeting sometime between now and November 10th to make the changes. Sewer funds, votes to transfer accounts.
You want to address that, Tim, again, or?
Yeah, this goes back to that
Yeah.
amount of money we have in the checking account that's not in any sort of an investment account. Don Boer is the finance director, he's recommending some different accounts we could transfer some funds into and close an account, put some other things that's on the sheet that was passed out on the table here tonight. Everybody had one on the table somewhere.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
in
on the
your,
table when I got here.
yeah.
Um,
It either
But
looks
the
like
recommendation from the commissioners is how much do we move and how much do we leave as available for cash? So that's what the question would be, for us to decide.
Well, you were kind of the head of that project.
Well, I kinda was the
Wanna
head
make
of
a
it.
motion?
Well, we'd have to select a dollar figure, and we'd have to have an amount that we would recommend that he transfer, because he won't transfer any funds without our recommendation for that. So if we need to keep $1 million in liquid money to pay for road reconstruction work, sewer rehabilitation, monthly bills and stuff like that, that's the kind of money we should leave available. When does the next round of sewer checks come? They come in quarterly or biannually?
The billing,
Yes.
December 1st. We just had the September 1st.
So we will get a new round of
Influx
fees paid
in December.
in December. And
I remember the last time you wanted some input from Mike and me as to how much should sit like in the checking account. In my opinion, the checking account should be left alone. I mean, most of that money and the other votes would be the cap account, the TD money market, those other two, according to the votes there, to open the Citizens Bank account with that, at least with the TD money market one.
I did check with finance, and they said that transferring funds is a simple transaction by way of computers to the bank. So we don't have to leave a whole year's worth of bill-paying account money in the checkbook. We could leave a portion of it in some sort of an interest-bearing account, and as we need it, they can move it over, and we just, that portion doesn't bear interest. We're not going to be locking ourselves into any long-term CDs where there's penalties for taking money in and out. That's not what we're proposing to do.
Okay. Well, the other thing is, if we do everything with the road plan next year, like the way the budget is right now, we're gonna have a deficit.
Right. We're going to be tapping into our reserve funds.
Exactly.
So maybe we should get our budget together and vote on a budget that we're going to send through, and then at that time, we'd have a better handle on what we think we could make a recommendation to finance on transferring funds. You agree with that?
Yeah, yeah.
Makes sense.
Okay, let's see. Sewer replacement project status, I think we already went over that. Manhole replacement projects, is that the same, is that included in the road plan, or is that something different?
No, that was the manhole covers he raised.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we've already done that.
Those are done.
How'd it come out?
Good. No complaints so far.
Did we get to keep the plates?
No.
No. No, he did offer to sell them to us, so.
Yeah,
I think in our upcoming budget,
for twice what he, well, yeah, okay.
I think we should consider our options if we're going to go through this program again.
Mike, was that the street plates?
Yes. We
Yeah,
talked about that.
However,
yeah. They did help, I'll tell you that.
we don't have street plates?
Not like those, no. Ours are either small that you can pick up by hand.
30 by 30s to put over the structure
Yeah,
when you pull the
and
ring, cover and ring off.
Yeah, or huge to cover a giant hole.
We'll go over that in our next budget.
Okay. The sewer permit template, she explained it to me and Rob, it's just changing the format, you know, it's a little different than the original. You have an original one there? It's-
And there's an empty
Someone
one
just
too,
signed
I
it,
think,
right?
in your, yeah. It's just online now. IT put it together for us so that we totally ran out of other printed ones. So it was time to do something.
If it works better for you folks,
Yeah.
to just do it.
And it's always going to look very clean. People will get copies that they need, and that's it, but I want you to see it.
The only thing it doesn't have is flow.
Is that still,
Doesn't have what, Mike?
Flow. If you know, gallons per day, one treatment unit, we put down 450 gallons, then we put down one treatment unit.
Well,
to
then
keep track.
Yeah, because if it's a duplex or,
I think that's something that should be added to it then, Mike, at your
Okay.
suggestion. How about under the description of project, you could also add flow on an adjacent line. They're going to describe the project, and then right below it, they could give you their
Oh, okay,
flow
add
calculation. Is
flow?
that what you're looking for, Mike?
Yeah, I can have a flow.
Okay,
So like we had before,
okay.
Are there any other items on the old form that aren't on the new form?
The old form showed picking whether you were going to put in a swimming pool, which no longer applies to sewer. So I had him delete that line.
So flow is the only thing that's not.
Everything
for it.
else is
Okay.
there.
After the word drain layer name approved or non-approved, I don't know why that would be there, because you can't lay a sewer line in Goffstown without a drain layer's license, right, Mike?
Right.
So that it should be, there should be no approved or non-approved, or is that for the
well,
permit
that's,
approved?
because some people pull their permit and then they lay one, and I've only had to check 2 not approved, where,
Non-approved drain layers?
yeah, well, they laid it. What happens is you pull a drain layer's license, and then you do a job. If you do a good job, you get your drain layer's license. If I've got to walk you through it and help you and do half of it myself, then you don't get a drain layer's license.
So,
So that gets checked, not approved. And I tell her that they can't pull any more permits.
somebody's gotta start somewhere,
I understand. All right, so that's why you have approved and non-approved on the application.
That's, that
And
was
then-
always on there, wasn't it?
Right, and then technically, homeowners can do their own.
Speaking of homeowners, did you get the photographic evidence you needed that midnight call
No, I
you
actually have
called
to
us?
call him, and, because he said he emailed it, but I don't think my computer allowed it to come through, because it was from an outside source and pictures and...
Is your opinion that we should change anything or leave it alone?
No, like I said, it was a very rare, it was just something where I couldn't be there. Usually I would have accommodated him.
Does everyone at this head table know what's going on?
No,
Why don't you fill them in
It was
with
the guy
no
who-
names and dates?
He wanted to install his own on a Saturday, which is allowed as a homeowner, he can do that. I had already had plans, Yurgo was out, so I told him what he needed, I walked it through him, I talked to him a couple times, he pulled the permit. He was just supposed to send me some pic, and he did call me the Monday and
How many
said he
days prior
tried.
to the install did he call you?
Oh, it was,
It was a few. It was.
no, he called me the first time he got a hold of me, was like on a Thursday.
And he wanted to do it Saturday?
Right. And I told him, he didn't want to pull a permit, because he said he had repaired it in the past. He said, I didn't pull a permit when I repaired it last time.
That's
So I was
okay.
like, well, that's, 2 wrongs don't make a right. So after we talked, he did come up, he pulled his permit like he should have, and he was fine after. I mean,
You know, my point that needs to come out of this discussion is that I don't think anyone should be able to call on a Thursday to do a sewer hookup on a Saturday or a repair on a Saturday and say, Mike said he wasn't available, Mike wasn't available. I'm doing it anyway, I don't care. that's where we need to figure out how we're gonna have something to back these guys. And
Well,
say,
there
look,
is, we did check into it,
In
and
the ordinance, you have to have 72 hours prior, as far as the ordinance goes. Prior notice to an excavation.
Well, how long does it take him to get his dig safe? That's more than...
3 days.
3 days?
unless he calls it in as an emergency on
Emergency,
Saturday
then it's-
morning.
Then it's that day. But he has to do it that day.
I just don't like the idea that someone could twist the employee's arms and say, look, I'm doing it on Saturday, whether you like it or not, you can inspect it or not, I'm doing it anyway.
And like I said, after I had called you to make sure I was saying the right things, because I didn't want him to come here and say, hey, this is what he told me, and you guys all say, well, why'd you say that? And so I just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page. And once he pulled his permit, he was fine.
Yeah.
But it is apparently punishable as a misdemeanor, which is like a $1,200 fine, and
But do we want to really involve the police department?
exactly.
Well,
But
but at
that's,
the end of the day, if it's not approved, it's not approved. Right?
Yeah.
So
The
you
difference,
shouldn't cover it up.
the difference being, Rob, is that if he did it and never called anybody, he would have done it anyway on Saturday.
which he already did once.
I did talk to Paula about it, and she was supposed to look into the ordinance and see if they made any changes to it. So you might have a revision in there
On that
Well,
subject?
for that subject.
Good, Mike, thank you.
On number,
Percent.
can I ask a question? On number 2,
In
this is
back.
the hold harmless provision. It talks specifically about pipe surges, but nothing else. Are there other circumstances that we want to be held harmless from? Or should there be a generic, excuse me, a generic statement in there relative to, or any other circumstances that may cause harm to, you know what I'm saying?
Well, New Hampshire DES has got one on the back, on the bottom of their form.
Yeah.
For septic.
Yeah.
That they're home harmless for just about everything.
Right.
I think this is I think this is an attempt to encourage backflow preventers, if I'm
Well,
not
I
mistaken.
That's what it is.
understand that, but I'm just,
Yeah, plus if you say hold harmless about that one, then they say, well, gee whiz, you said we were held harmless only on this one, what about all this other stuff? You're almost better off not having anything on there, you know, you get into.
I also think that we also have to look at that number there, number 4. He says Public Works requires 48 hours notification for inspection. Well, didn't you just say that was 72, Mike?
Should be 72.
So can we get that number changed to 72
I
then?
think that's what the ordinance is.
Well, could you confirm that for Ellen so she can put the correct number in, Mike, please?
Yeah.
Well, do we want to put some sort of clarification about business days?
yeah, exactly. Because what if it's a long weekend?
Yeah.
You got nothing.
Or holiday or
72
whatever
hours
else.
are gone.
So our business days considered Monday through Friday, obviously?
Yep. Well, we can spell that out.
So I think if it's going to be spelled out as,
And dig safe's the same way. It's Monday through Friday on dig safe. They don't count weekends or
Can you
holidays.
just say working hours? Or town
Town-
work hours, or there must be a definition somewhere.
Well, town hall hours or whatever you want to do. You
8
tie
to
it
4,
Yeah.
Monday through Friday.
we'll find a way to write it in there correctly and give it back to us and we'll look at it.
Yeah, I don't want to say Monday through Friday, because then you could have a loophole for holidays and
Right, Monday,
whatever.
maybe later.
You want to just tie it to the,
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
town's calendar.
Yep.
Just- Okay,
Yeah, and Public Works hours aren't 8 to 4, they're
that's right,
7 to 3:30,
that's
so.
right. So,
Well, I've seen language that says, you know, say like 3 days, Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays don't count.
all accepted, Saturday, accepted.
Well, that's another way, something you could make a note about and possibly include it.
Is-
Now, do these permits go to your office, Ellen, or do they go to your office, Mike?
They
start
come here to
meeting.
fill them out.
So then I think the hours on any permit application should be tied to this office, correct? At this side of the
Except that
table?
After 3:30,
If you're gonna put hours of anything? No, Mike?
No, because, you know, most construction guys want to start digging at 7 o'clock, and if it's on here at 8 to 4, and they lose an hour of digging, and then I'm there a half an hour later if they go by the hours that are on the permit. It should be the hours that I work, because it's tied to the inspection.
right.
You know, she doesn't do the inspection, and all she does is the paperwork.
I thought this was just notification for inspection. This doesn't say inspection, period. This is notification for inspection.
Or should we change that wording then?
Well, no, that's, needs to be in there, Mike, right? Notification for
Yeah.
inspection, like the
Yeah.
building department?
Right, but I would just put the hours down as 7 to 3:30, and
Okay.
Okay.
if they're here talking to her, to get this, they're not gonna get this if she's
Separate
closed. You know what I
Separate
mean?
sense. Inspection will be based on public works hours.
Mike's got something over there.
Sewer use ordinance says 48 hours.
Is that it?
Yeah. The applicant for the building sewer permit shall notify the commission when the building sewer is ready for inspection and connection to the public sewer. Such notice shall be provided not less than 48 hours in advance of the time any connection is to be made to the public sewer.
Well, it's a draft. We want to change it to 72?
I'll go 3 days.
Well, the other thing, it should say the commission or the designee, you know what I mean?
I think we have two different subjects here. We have a subject for an inspection, but I was talking about a time frame for obtaining a permit, and
Well, that's 30 days.
that's 30 days?
Oh, it's 6 months, I think, it's good for.
No,
But
No,
30
it
days
needs to be
prior.
turned around.
I think I saw that.
so it's in our report that someone has to apply for a permit 30 days prior to the actual, prior
I'm
to the
pretty
start of
sure I
work?
just read that.
Yeah, but you can't do it in an emergency if the guy's got a maintenance problem.
Well, that's always the, that's the other case, Mike.
Yeah.
Emergency is emergency.
Provisions for emergency.
Yeah, but doesn't it say the commission has up to 30 days to approve or deny?
For residential and commercial services, the owner or owners or his agent shall make application on a special form furnished by the town at least 30 days prior to said service connection. For an establishment discharging industrial waste, the application shall be made at least 60 days prior to said
For
service
review
connection.
process.
So they differentiate between.
Is there,
Yes, there's
do we
two
have any,
different classes. Yeah.
do we have anything in the language, Mike, that talks about emergency in our draft ordinance?
I didn't see anything.
Can we leave that
through it, but
door
that
closed?
doesn't mean it's there.
Do that on a case-by-case basis?
No, what I'd do, I'd say that the commission has up to 30 days to respond to the application, and that means, you know, it can be
Before-
approved the next day, you know what I mean?
If it happens to
Yeah,
coincide
and
with a
if
meeting.
it's something complicated and it's gonna take a little looking into and everything else, we have 30 days to, you know, look into it.
And that allows you enough time to have a meeting in between to talk about it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mike, what page are you on?
27.
Well, I guess we're already on the sewer use ordinance line.
There's a segue.
Have you guys looked at the latest draft?
The problem is there's no, no idea where the changes were made, so it's starting from
Yeah.
scratch again.
I brought that up to
Those little
Paul.
track changes.
It's brutal.
Yeah,
Having read it,
I brought that
previous-
up to Paula, because I reviewed it, and I said, okay, where's the highlight for all the changes?
I actually emailed her as well.
Yeah.
She emailed me back and said, I really recommend that the commission look at the entire document.
That was her response.
Well, we're all just dripping.
Um,
That's what we pay our professionals.
Yeah, exactly. I'll talk to Paula.
Yeah, see if you can get it to highlight the changes, and, I don't know if we're gonna approve it at the next meeting, but I'd like her to
Oh.
be here when we approve
For
it.
your approval, did you want it to go to DES first for their review?
You know, that's a chicken or egg thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if we approve it, we send it up, they send it back, we gotta make the changes. We don't approve it, when they send it up, they're gonna send it back, we gotta make changes, you know?
I think we should be happy with it before we send it up. Just my
Yeah,
feeling.
but does that mean formal approval?
All right, I defer to Steve's chicken and egg. Sixes.
I guess it's semantics. but-
Have you gotten the latest one to the city of Manchester yet?
Yeah, I think, well, I'm not sure. I need to check with Paula because I think she wanted to make sure that you guys had looked through everything and Mike had looked through everything first and were satisfied before she started sending it out to DES and the city of Manchester.
Well, I think the last time we did it, we sent out, we gave them a draft, and they made their changes before we had the final vote, and we incorporated the changes before we voted on it.
Yeah.
That's another chicken and egg thing, but that's how we did it
Yeah,
last time.
and I think it would make sense to do it that way.
Yeah, I mean, one of the emails said she contacted the city for some clarification, so
Yeah,
she's already got a line of communication going.
she does. Yeah,
Then
that's true.
keep going.
The guy that, I should know his name, but the guy that runs the pre-treatment program for this city, you guys know what I'm talking about?
Chris?
Yeah, he's the one that did the review the last time we sent some over.
Probably.
Chris,
Yeah.
what's his last name?
Probably.
Crowley.
Chris Crowley.
Yeah.
So if you call over, that's the guy you want to talk to, or email or whatever, Chris
I
Crowley.
think that may have been who she was communicating with.
Yeah.
if I remember correctly.
Okay, do we have any other comments on
If you want, we can send it up to DES, but, you know,
Let's send it to the city, get their comments and incorporate
Get
that
that
into
first.
what goes up to DES.
yeah, and I'll have Paula put something together that's a lot more
Yeah.
clear as to what the change is.
Well, I don't think you'd want to send up a draft, would you?
Just take that word off of there.
For the city, it doesn't matter. For DES, I don't think it matters either.
When she comes in, what if we want to make some changes after we see the ones that are highlighted, not highlighted, you know?
That's fine. Turn that around right away.
Okay.
You want to wait to send it to the city then?
No, I don't think the city's gonna care. If we'll just send them a final one at the same time, maybe a little before it goes to, well, actually, unless we change something, really big, they'll be okay with it. I mean, the last time I did something with them, what was it, maybe 3 or 4 changes, it was, nickel and dime stuff,
So would it make sense to, before we go over this whole thing, to let DES go through it and put their red marks on it, so we don't have to look at those sections if there's gonna be any red marks on it? Or should we do ours first and then send it to DES?
I think generally, you folks should be satisfied with the document before we send it up there.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm sure that's what DES would like.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Like I said, I'd like to have Paula come in and kind of just
Yeah, I
run
guess I
through
was
the thing and what the
Kind of
changes
assuming there
were.
might be another workshop-type meeting
Yeah, yeah,
that she
yeah.
would come to and walk you through it.
Yeah.
But it would be helpful to have everything highlighted, just as you go through it.
Okay, we got a couple things to sign. I don't see anything else on here.
I have one last request, Steve.
Sure.
Before we do our next budget discussion, I would like Ellen to get us an annual revenue amount for our next meeting. What our 4 quarters generate in revenue. I want that number,
Okay,
or approximately what that number would be.
Yep. that's easy.
So we know what our bottom line is in terms of revenue.
Oh, one other thing. Geez, I should have brought this up when Sue was here. The DES has grants for asset management, and I believe it's up to $30,000.
Mhm.
And the way they do it is, you have to apply for the revolving loan fund for the $30,000, and then if you get approved, you borrow the $30,000, but as soon as the job's done, you get reimbursed for the $30,000, so you don't even make a payment on the loan. And I don't know why they do it, I'm sure there's a reason. But the other thing is, you have to have a warrant article calling out that you're asking for the grant, because technically, you're applying for a loan and you're committing to multiple year payments, even though they're gonna pay it off the first year, so
There's still a financial commitment there, yeah.
Yeah, multiple years if something gets
And
messed
it's
up.
still a loan obligation.
Yep.
So I guess we gotta find out what the, if we wanna go ahead with it, I guess we gotta find out what the wording's supposed to be on the warrant article.
I've done about 20 of them.
Will past projects be included in that? Past assessment project?
So I can send you a warrant article.
No, it's for, well, you explain what asset management is real quick. You get 5 minutes.
You're done.
That's a challenge.
That's a quarterly amount?
Well, asset management, basically,
Can I
as
keep
it
this?
implies, is creating a system. You
Is
know,
everything
when-
signed?
I mean, it
No,
starts
not yet.
with
There's
you
still
know, mapping a system, which you have done,
Yep.
inventory, condition assessment, and then that all goes into
That's our
some
quarterly
type of a
Thank you.
management system. And there's
I need your signature.
20
That
different
goes to
kinds of
the tax
software out
collector.
there. You could even use Excel spreadsheets for that matter. EPA has a free one, CUPS. But it all gets compiled into this database, and then you assess risks and
I'll
consequences
copy under there.
for,
Might
the
go right
facilities you have.
Oh,
So
yeah, yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
higher risk facilities need to have more attention than lower risk. And so this all boils down into, a plan of action, if you will, for operating, maintaining, and eventually replacing assets
Something like your-
in a planned program that minimizes your overall cost. How'd I do?
Yeah, it looks at maintenance and replacement and all those things. And
Still got 3 minutes
all in
left.
one. Yeah, still good.
Even better.
Which we do have it on a spreadsheet already
Yeah.
anyways, what I've been doing for generations, but.
Yeah.
Mike, I went in front of the selectmen with our budget a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
and they asked some questions I didn't have answers for. So I wondered if you could help me out. We talked about our CIP program for the next 5 years.
Yep.
And what I didn't have was specifics on where the work was going to be done in the 2016, or 17 request and on out.
Right.
Could you put together something that's not too much trouble for you to give us a list of the projects for each of those 5 years you've got going out, so that we can have a list of where the projected work can be done? And it would also help us with anything we're thinking about postponing for budgetary reasons. We'll know
Yeah.
where we
can do
are.
that.
That'd be really good, because that would help us out. Because I have the 5, we all have the 5 sheets of 5 years of
Yeah.
projected expenses, but where it was going was one of the things the selectmen asked me, and I didn't have the answer for them, and I
No, I can
don't
get you that.
I don't really like not giving them an answer when they ask a question.
Sure.
These are one signature forms, Steve?
Yeah.
What's our memo to the Board of Selectmen on the agenda?
You already signed it.
That right there? Okay.
That was on the Lynchville
We did our
Park
AP
area.
warrant?
Yeah.
No, that's not due.
No, not this time.
Not this meeting?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
When is our next scheduled meeting?
15th?
15th, but I'm not here the 15th.
Of
Mike.
November.
Yes.
But we're gonna have a
But we
scheduled
need-
meeting in between, because we have to work on budget
Right.
stuff.
So we'll move it forward.
We could schedule it for that same meeting if
Okay.
it's a
Yeah, I just need 1 or 2 more people on that. That's fine.
BP warrant.
Yeah, on the warrant, the AP warrant.
So it has to be before the 10th, right?
We have to have something for the
November.
1st of November, according to Sue,
Because the
for the
Budget
budget, for
committee
the selectmen's
gets-
budget to go to the budget committee.
Right. They see the budget as of the 1st of November. But we could still have discussions after.
So we got
Before-
about 2 weeks.
Goes, yeah.
Do it next Tuesday?
Pardon?
Do it next Tuesday, the 25th?
Sure. So it works for me.
At DPW. Do you want
Yeah.
to get DPW?
And Ellen, if you can invite Adam, that'd be very helpful.
Okay, I will. You want to try to get an earlier start? I know you can't.
I can't.
Get there, you can't either.
Got to come from Portsmouth.
That's right, okay.
So what time would we be looking at?
I can be here for 6. Takes me an hour to get from Portsmouth to here.
Where's the Public Works Director live?
Amherst.
Amherst?
That's just conference times. Come in a little late or something. You have any other business, Steve?
I believe that's it. Collis, you all set? Your questions, concerns?
Good.
Okay, great.
Good discussion.
Anybody else have anything they want to add?
Motion to adjourn if none.
A motion to, I'll second it.
I'll make the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good, we're out of here.
Let's do it.